Good morning, you're watching AnewZ. I'm Dilek Tuna. Here are the top stories. The Pentagon says US strikes on Iran's nuclear sites have delayed Tehran's nuclear program by nearly 2 years. Israel's Foreign Affairs Minister says the country is committed to reaching a ceasefire with Hamas. US President Donald Trump demands Fed Chair Jerome Powell resigns. The Pentagon says US strikes on Iran's nuclear sites have delayed Tehran's nuclear program by nearly 2 years. The Pentagon's assessment of damage around Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan remains unchanged, saying that all 3 sites have been completely obliterated. The US and its allies say the program has been significantly degraded.
I think it's been degraded. I think interesting kind of side point about this, Tara, is that all of the conversations that we've had since Operation Midnight Hammer with our allies all around the world, but certainly also in the region, they say a couple of things. They share our sentiments about the degradation of Iran's nuclear program and the fact that we have degraded their program by 1 to 2 years. At least intel assessments inside the department assess that, and I think their intelligence shares that conclusion.
On Wednesday, Foreign Minister of Israel, Gideon Saar, speaking in Tallinn, said Israel is committed to reaching a ceasefire with Hamas and securing the release of hostages to end the war in Gaza. At a press conference, the Israeli Foreign Minister also condemned Iran's suspension of nuclear oversight, urging swift international action to counter what he called a growing threat. He also reiterated Israel's readiness to end the war in Gaza. Hamas says it's reviewing new ceasefire proposals from Egypt and Qatar, but insists that any deal must guarantee a full Israeli withdrawal from the Strip and have a permanent end to hostilities.
Hamas still holds 50 of our hostages in crew captivity. The war can end tomorrow if it releases them and lays down its arms. We are serious in our will to reach a hostage deal and a ceasefire.
In Tel Aviv, families of Israeli hostages and their supporters are ramping up pressure on the government, demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and the immediate return of all captives. The protest follows claims by US President Donald Trump that a ceasefire deal is within reach, but Hamas remains cautious.
Dozens of protesters gathered in Tel Aviv demanding a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the 50 remaining Israeli hostages held by Hamas. The rally was organised by 101 Watch, a group of mothers and sisters of the captives. Demonstrators held banners reading, "Bring them home," and "President Trump stop the war," while displaying photos of captives.
I think that there is no ceasefire until the tanks and guns and RPGs stop firing. That's when there's a ceasefire, not when someone makes a public statement. We understand that President Trump is very, very engaged in bringing an end to the war in Gaza and returning the hostages. But I live in Israel. I'm a citizen of Israel. My government in Israel needs to be at least that engaged and more engaged. It is our responsibility to stop the war and return the hostages.
Tensions rose after nightfall when protesters blocked roads. Police issued warnings and detained several demonstrators. The protest comes a day after President Trump said Israel had agreed to a proposed 60-day ceasefire with Hamas. The group said it was reviewing the deal, but insisted any agreement must include an Israeli withdrawal from Gaza and an end to the war.
The latest statement from US President Donald Trump regarding a possible ceasefire in Gaza has sparked cautious optimism among Palestinians. As the conflict enters its 21st month, residents of the Strip say they're desperate for a permanent end to the violence.
US President Donald Trump's announcement that Israel has agreed to the conditions for a 60-day ceasefire in Gaza has sparked hope among Palestinians suffering from the ongoing conflict. President Trump made the statement in a social media post on the 1st of July, noting that a final proposal would be delivered to Hamas through the mediation of Qatar and Egypt. According to Trump, the announcement followed a long and productive meeting between US representatives and Israeli officials. Against the backdrop of a war that has continued for 21 months, the ceasefire statement offered a glimmer of hope for Gaza residents.
We heard yesterday in the news that US President Donald Trump announced a decision that he will stop the war on Gaza. We hope this decision happens as soon as possible because, frankly, we are tired and had enough of the injustice and the genocide we're being subjected to.
We want a complete end to the war on Gaza. Not like every time, a partial agreement and ceasefire that lasts a month or two, then the war returns. No, we want a complete end to this war and this genocide, with them taking their hostages, releasing our prisoners held in their jails, the rebuilding of Gaza, and bringing life back to our people in Gaza Strip.
According to Gaza health officials, at least 20 people were killed in Israeli airstrikes on Wednesday, the 2nd of July.
We hope he's honest this time. We're used to him not being honest in the previous times. We hope he is serious like he was serious during the Israeli-Iranian war, when he said the war should stop, and it stopped. Trump can stop the war if he wants to.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing increasing domestic pressure, with the public demanding a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and an end to the war. However, hardliners within his coalition continue to oppose such an agreement. The conflict began on the 7th of October 2023, when Hamas fighters launched an attack on Israeli territory. According to Israeli figures, 1,200 people, the majority of them civilians, were killed, and 251 others were taken hostage and brought back to Gaza. It was the deadliest single-day attack in Israel's history. In response, Israel launched a large-scale military offensive. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, more than 56,000 Palestinians, most of them civilians, have been killed to date. Nearly the entire population of the Gaza Strip, which is home to 2.3 million people, has been displaced, and the region now faces a severe humanitarian crisis.
US President Donald Trump has intensified his feud with Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He demanded on Truth Social that the too-late chair resign immediately, following the Federal Housing Finance Agency head Bill Bolter's call for a congressional probe into Powell's allegedly deceptive Senate testimony about a $2.5 billion Fed HQ renovation. Powell, speaking from Portugal, defended the Fed's independence and explained that rate cuts were delayed due to inflationary pressures from Trump's tariffs. China says it's ready to discuss trade policies, including tariffs and subsidies, that Washington has identified as obstacles to reforming the World Trade Organization. Maknoor Maktoum reports from Beijing.
China has welcomed the opportunity to engage in tariffs and subsidy discussions with the United States at the World Trade Organization, marking a potential easing of trade tensions. The announcement came as China expressed its willingness to negotiate under the WTO rules, including Article 28, which allows its members to modify their tariff commitments. At the same time, China has filed an official appeal with the WTO against the United States over continued imposed tariffs. China argues that these measures violate the WTO rules and undermine the core principles of fair trade. While the US has previously blocked the WTO panel rulings, China's renewed legal action shows its dual-track strategy, pressing for systemic accountability through legal mechanisms while remaining open to negotiations. Beijing has also signaled a conditional willingness to scale back some of its developing country privileges in future WTO arrangements, though it maintained that its core economic models and industrial policies are non-negotiable. This dual-track strategy reflects that China's recalibrating its trade relations with the United States through institutional framework and not retaliatory actions. Though fundamental disagreements remain Over subsidies, state-owned enterprises, and technology transfers, China's move is widely seen as a constructive step forward. If successful, this would ease bilateral trade tensions, lower tariff barriers, and reinforce the WTO as a primary venue for global trade governance. Manu Mathun, AnewZ, Beijing.
The series of Economic Cooperation Organizations events ahead of the summit in Kankendi continued in Azerbaijan, with delegates from 10 countries gathering in Shusha for a business forum. Our Narchichak Jangirli brings more from Shusha.
Shusha today welcomed guests from 10 regional countries for the 6th Economic Cooperation Organisation Business Forum. The event focused on strengthening economic partnership among member countries. The meeting took place within the framework of the ECO Week.
The aim of the forum is to promote investment and trade within the ECO region, strengthen cooperation among business communities, and support sustainable economic development.
In an opening speech, First Deputy Minister of Economy Elnur Aliyev emphasised that Azerbaijan's trade turnover with ECO countries has increased by 10%, reaching $3.5 billion. He also noted that more than 10,000 companies from ECO countries are operating in Azerbaijan, and over the years more than $22 billion worth of investments have been made by ECO member states. During the forum, ECO Secretary-General Asad Majid Khan called on all member states to submit specific proposals for joint trade development activities for 2025 and 2026. He also announced that the work on the Memorandum of Understanding on cooperation in the field of trade facilitation among the member states of ECO has been completed.
We were very pleased to see such a meaningful event taking place here after the liberation of Karabakh. We are here representing the agriculture and seed sector. The region has great potential in terms of agriculture, and we are ready to support efforts to realize that potential.
Me and my colleagues, we are looking to start some investment in this region, in industrial zone especially. We are working in different fields. We have IT research centers, and in IT department we have investments in Uzbekistan and in Afghanistan. Also we have in construction and renewable energy department. Yeah.
It's a very good forum for the business, and we can see many other countries, Muslim countries especially, like Turkey, Afghanistan, and many other countries are here. Expectations of the event that we're going to have the B2B meetings with the companies of Azerbaijan, and let's see how we can promote their business in our country and how we can promote our business, Pakistan, over here.
The forum focused on strengthening public-private partnerships, encouraging joint ventures and facilitating B2B and B2G dialogue to drive long-term economic transformation. The ECO Week is still underway with the main event, the 17th Economic Cooperation Organisation Summit, set to begin tomorrow in Kankendi.
In the previous episode of Inside Politics, our very own Anastasia Levrina discussed the 17th summit of the Economic Cooperation Organisation taking place in Kankendi with Yashar Sarı, director of the Haydar Aliyev Center for Eurasian Studies. Yashar shared his views on the significance of the summit's location and the message Azerbaijan is sending to the world.
This is the 17th summit of the Economic Cooperation Organization. Hosting this summit at Hankenti had very symbolic significances and meaning. The first is the Hankenti, long time be part of the separatist movement who occupy the Azerbaijani territory. That is clear. So Hankenti is not anymore a place of the conflict, but a place of the hosting international event. That is the turn to Hankenti become the kind of symbol of the peace and the collaboration among the state and so on. The second thing is this is the third time this summit happening in Azerbaijan. It's happened before 2006, 2012, but this time is important international events happen. It's related also member countries of the ECO. Those are the Pakistani-Indian conflict, the Iran-Israel, and later United States involved conflict. That's in that sense, having these countries, having this summit, giving the more importance, more significance point for this summit too.
Construction has begun in Kyrgyzstan on a major railway route that will connect China, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. Afariza Karamurzina has the details.
Kyrgyzstan has launched one of Central Asia's largest infrastructure projects, an international railway linking China, Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan. Bakat Turbayev, deputy chairman of the Kyrgyz cabinet, announced that the route will span over 304 kilometers within Kyrgyzstan, with nearly 40% crossing difficult mountainous areas. This requires building 27 tunnels and 41 bridges. The project's estimated cost is $4.7 billion, with completion expected by 2030. The project, which follows more than 20 years of negotiations between the regional countries and China, was launched in December last year and has now entered an active construction phase. Unlike Kazakhstan, which already has a developed rail network connection China and Europe, this route offers an alternative transport corridor for Central Asia. Some experts say the project challenges Moscow's and Kazakhstan's free transport monopolies in Eurasia. Meanwhile, it strengthens Uzbekistan's role as a regional logistics hub. In last year, Uzbekistan transported about 1.52 billion tons of cargo, reflecting growing capacity and demand for transport services. Monetary growth is also strong. By June this year, the transport services market reached around $5.58 billion, up 14% year on year. Most of this market is concentrated in the capital. And the transport sector is a major driver of the overall $29.5 billion services market. Earlier this year, Uzbek President Shavkat Mirziyoyev set a target to boost transport services exports to $3 billion. And the China, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan railway could play a vital role in reaching this goal, strengthening trade links and opening new East-West logistics opportunities. Fariza Kalimurzina, AnewZ, in Almaty, Kazakhstan.
Former Armenian President Saar has been charged with receiving particularly large bribes and illegally participating in entrepreneurship while serving as Minister of Defence and then President. Investigators say that between 2000 and 2018, Sargsyan used his positions to set up companies through friends, breaking rules that ban officials from doing business. He's accused of helping build a bitumen plant with foreign money and moving valuable assets to benefit his family. The case has been sent to the Anti-Corruption Court. Foreign ministers of the Collective Security Treaty Organisation have reaffirmed their commitment to supporting Afghanistan's pursuit of peace and long-term stability. Our Tamim Bahis has more on that in Kabul.
The CSTO, which includes countries such as Russia, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan, released a joint statement this week expressing support for Afghanistan's development. The ministers said the organization is prepared to take part in international efforts aimed at stabilizing and rebuilding Afghanistan in close coordination with the United Nations. The statement emphasized the CSTO's readiness to contribute to peace-building efforts and development initiatives designed to help Afghanistan move toward a more secure and prosperous future. It also called on international community to significantly increase humanitarian assistance as millions of Afghans continue to suffer from hunger, displacement, and limited access to basic services. Afghanistan's leadership has also reiterated its commitment to ensuring lasting peace and maintaining stability within the country. Officials in Kabul say they welcome constructive international cooperation focused on development and humanitarian support. The CSTO's message highlights continued regional interest in Afghanistan's stability. However, the road ahead remains uncertain and will require both political will and practical action from the global community. Tamim Bahis reporting for AnewZ from Kabul, Afghanistan.
These are the updates from Baku for now. Stay tuned to AnewZ for more world news and updates throughout the day.